Joanne, tomorrow you're going in for a operation.
Yes.
You have an opportunity. What would you want to say? We just heard your whole story. You just told us our whole story of what you went through with an ex-husband that was convicted of child abuse, raping your children. You brought this information to Danielle Ross. You brought this to the courts. Before you go in for surgery tomorrow, what do you want to say? What do you have to say about Danielle Ross? What do you have to say about the court system? What do you want to tell Judge Caputo?
I think the Lackawanna County Family Court system is actually a joke in a way. They didn't pay attention to what was going on with the children that they were supposed to be protecting. I believe that Judge Harhut had a lot to do with this, and Mrs. Ross was able to run freely with a gavel that she shouldn't have been able to have her hands on, and she totally took that power to her head and ran further than you would believe and put children, so many children in danger. Has hurt families and parents that have been trying to protect their children by being money hungry, and I believe that the numbers that were being crunched are wrong. I think the lives and the children's lives and everything, other numbers should be crunched, because how many people did she take money off of to win cases so they could wrongfully have children being put in danger? She has endangered my family completely, has ruined our lives. At first, I really thought that she was going to help my child. I cried out for help to her face, begged her for help, telling her to call her daddy, to ask him to stop hurting her.
Your 4-year-old child came to you.
Yes, she did.
And complained that she was being sexually abused. Sexually molested. This was eventually proven to be true.
It wasn't proven to be true with her, but it did come out that another child of mine was brutally raped by the same man that she put my children in the hands of. She handed my children to that pedophile whom I was trying to protect my children. I fought very hard to try to protect them with everything I had. And she took my rights of trying to protect my babies away.
Your 4-year-old child came to you and said that she was being touched, felt as though that she was being harmed, and you brought her to Danielle Ross. Yes,
I did, and Danielle Ross was spoken to by my child. And children do have a voice, and she voiced to her what happened to her. And Ross did not listen to anything that was being said to her. She did tell my child to come back, and she took her in the other room and spoke to her freely on her own. I let her take her and talk to her by herself. Even had my daughter come back to the room and explain to me what happened. Tell mommy what you just told me. And even had her, show her also what was being done to you. And my daughter did. She showed me, and she told me their father was touching her pee-pee and hurting her, and how he was doing it, and that she wanted us to call him and make him stop. And at the time, she had a man working with her named Vincent. He was there. My daughter, Deja, let them know.
And how long did it go on before eventually?
This has gone on for years. I was treated like a criminal. I was put into visits, 1-hour visits a week. I mean, my ex-husband, the accused, and whom is convicted for rape and everything, broke my spine and everything while I was pregnant.
And that's why you're going, and that is why you're going into the hospital tomorrow.
Yes, again.
You're a classic abused woman, abused housewife.
Yeah.
Would you talk a little bit about how you were treated by Danielle in terms of demeanor, attitude, how you were meant to feel? Could you speak to that?
I felt belittled. we had gotten to a point in the court case where, my children are going to be able to come back home after a few visits or whatever, and I had asked her, what do I do? What do I do if my daughter comes back in that door from visiting her father and says to me that he's molesting her again? What do I do? As soon as I did that, her demeanor changed and told me, you're not to talk about that or anything. I said, not me. What if she comes home and says this to me again? What do I do? Well, you're not to speak of it at all. But she got very nasty and rude with me, and next thing you know, my custody's taken away, and he's given full custody of my children, as if I've done something wrong. And all I wanted to do was protect my family.
Did you feel intimidated at all by Danielle Ross?
Yes. Yes, I felt like if I didn't jump through hoops or do all these programs and everything that she said to do, that I would never see my children again. And I'm over here signing myself out of hospitals for major spinal surgery of losing my legs to go visit my children and fighting to go.
We looked at some court orders, or not even court orders, orders from Danielle Ross. Did you get the feeling that she was the one making the rules, or was Judge Harhut making the rules?
I saw Judge Harhut all of 2 times, and that was before Danielle Ross and once after. And from that point on, she was there. He was never there. She was making the rules. There was nobody else was saying anything but Danielle Ross, even to the point where she got me a lawyer and dictated to the lawyer what was my case was going to be. And
Who was that lawyer?
we had Danielle Flynn. She gave me Daniel Flynn as a lawyer, had me call him, and personally said that, he was going to help in the situation. And that's how she made me feel at first, like she was really going to help. But that was just a kick in the teeth. I think it was just passing the buck. My child's at a advocacy center screaming and crying because they're ripping her off of me, and she don't know who these people are, and the predator that hurt her is in the room, and I'm trying to call Danielle Flynn for help, and I'm being reprimanded by the woman there at the CAC and saying, we can't talk to your daughter, whatever, you're upsetting her too much. Everybody knew everyone, and it seemed like, my ex-husband's stepmother got involved, she got involved, she was speaking to Danielle Ross personally. Instead of helping protect her own grandchild, a step-grandchild, not even her blood related, they all tried to make me look like I did something very wrong. They tried to make me look like the predator, like I was putting things into my baby's heads.
And everything you say and have come proven to be true.
Yes. This man is in jail now for 52 to 110 years for brutally raping my eldest daughter.
Do you feel that the damage, or can you speak to inactions or actions that Danielle Ross did or did not take, and how it's led to what I believe in my discussions with you, irreparable damage that cannot be repaired? Could you speak to that, please?
I feel the damage is severe. My whole family has been ripped apart. My children have gone through intensive counseling sessions, emotional breakdowns. They don't see their siblings. I'm a mother of 7 children, beautiful children. I put 2 through college. I've got 3 at home here, and I'm missing 2 of them very badly because of Danielle Ross to begin with. She handed them my children, and eventually the venue was changed into a different county. But until then, Ross didn't do her job. I wasn't allowed to have anybody in the room to even, in mediations or anything, with me. Not even a representative from Women's Resources, a legal representative to help me, an advocate, a legal advocate. I wasn't allowed. But his side of the family, He'd have a stepmother and his father and their lawyers and friends and girlfriends and whatever, and I would sit by myself until I got another lawyer, whom then again bowed down and did whatever Danielle Ross said. It wasn't there to help my case, but listen to what she dictated. And I'm afraid for so many families, and I feel bad because I know that there's a lot of families and children and parents that have fought so hard to protect their kids.
When it came to your ex-husband being sentenced and going through that trial, at that time you had hope. You were told that you were going to get your children back.
Yes, but I was told not to go back for them right away. I spoke to the Huntings. I was going back to get my children. I had PFA on my ex-husband. It turned into a criminal court case because my daughter had come forward about being raped. So I put a PFA on him to get the ball rolling, and I eased that over, and I went to go get my children back, and they were meeting me at the family courthouse. I spoke to them the night before, and a representative from CYS had already stopped me, grabs my arm, Smiley, who's a special advocate representative for CYS, special victims of rape and molestation.
In Lackawanna County.
Lackawanna County. Now this is all in the same courthouse with Danielle Ross. Everybody's close-knit in there. I think one hand was washing the other, and we're watching each other's back, because a lot of people have got their hand in the pot. And not only that, their hands are dirty and they're full of mud by now. So this woman stops me from getting my children. Tells me not to go after them at all, because it'll ruin the court case that is going on with my ex-husband and my eldest daughter. They'll try to turn it around on me and make me look like I'm the villain here, and putting it into my daughter's head to get custody of my other kids. Do not go after custody until he's completely sentenced. And
somewhere in between that time and the other time, with the change of court venue, your children were adopted.
yes, now, recently.
Just recently.
6 months ago now. I've been very ill and sick, unable to really get anywhere and do anything, but I was trying and fighting a lot by myself to do this.
I got to tell you, we're sitting in your home here today. It's a nice home. I see the kids running around. It's a nice family, and it's very heartbreaking to see, hearing your story. You have an opportunity right now in this next month. Judge Caputo is going to sentence admitted felon Danielle Ross on tax evasion.
Tax evasion. Wrong numbers. What about the family and children? Crunch those numbers. How many lives and children's lives has she destructed and ruined? How many besides my babies? How many other babies are hurt? How many parents are hurt? How many kids have damage so bad that it's never going to be repaired? With years of counseling, they're going to have that all in the back of their head.
Would you like to see open hearings? Would you like to have the opportunity for not only yourself, but for others locally to come forward without fear of retribution?
Yes.
Do you think maybe that's what should be happening?
Yes, I do. I really do. I really think
Is that what you want to
the
tell
whole
Judge
family
Caputo?
court system should be looked at very carefully. And yes, I think these families should come forward and come forward soon, because there's not a lot of time left. And
On the note of Judge Caputo, and keep in mind, what we're talking about here is a sentence. While nothing can bring back, or the time lost with your children, nothing could repair the damage done. I'd like you to tell everybody, if you can in your own words, what message should Judge Caputo send? What type of sentence do you think, and I think you know the guidelines, or at least you know what the maximum sentence is, which I believe is 5 years.
5 years? 5
Prison.
years. I've missed out on 5 years with my babies. More than that. How many years altogether have all these families fought how many years have all these other children been going through hell? Because she didn't care about them, she cared about filling her pockets.
So the message that should be sent, and the reason why, the message that should be sent should be what, and what is the reason for that message? For that sentence that the judge should impose?
I really think the judge should really take in everything else, not just the tax evasion. There's no reason for just one thing to be looked at here. They're crunching the wrong numbers when it comes to tax evasion. 5 years isn't enough, even for that. And the reason why that's going on is because how she get that money in the first place by taking it from families and people that were paying her off to get her these children? Is that how she was getting this money? Was she being paid off?
Do you think others in the court system, the judges,
Are responsible? Yes, I do.
do you think they knew?
I think everybody knew. I think everybody knew in that entire courthouse, and they were trying to hush it. Just by the way I would walk in there, sometimes they would see me, and the way their demeanors were, and the way they would scatter around and act.
And yet they're required to report
Abuse.
any kind of abuse.
And they didn't when I went in there with my child. They didn't report it. They told me I had to go take my own child to CAC and take it. When I went to Danielle Ross, she didn't do anything. Nothing. I took my children to doctors and everything. My daughter was coming home saying she was being molested over and over and over.
4-year-old child.
Yes.
To add off of what was just said, and just so there's a lot of clarity here, are you saying that there are individuals in the court, people that work downstairs in family court on Adams and Spruce, do you feel with great certainty, based on your experience, that these people knew what was going on, and by their demeanor, by the way they treated you?
Yes. Yes, and they would look at me as if I was doing something wrong anyway. And they should all be ashamed of themselves. Every last person that has known anything that's gone on with my case or any other case with these children should be ashamed of themselves. We're talking about innocent lives. That this woman, tax evasion. Tax evasion, invasion of life and lives interrupted, and mothers and fathers that are really trying to protect their babies and being ripped away from them so she can get money.
I know you asked us to come over.
And she was getting paid by these people outside of the court, paying her too. Outside of that courthouse, and the county paying her to do these cases. This is Guardian of Litem. I thought I heard that she gets paid. And I don't think she's supposed to really go and get private pay either. Now, what did these private pays lead up to? Is there more here than, is there corruption here besides,
My understanding is, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Judge Harhut, Chester Harhut, appointed Danielle Ross in 2008 to be the sole
2007.
guardian ad litem for the county of Lackawanna, that at the time had a population of approximately 215,000 people, to be the sole guardian ad litem. We have the records to show that she was automatically appointed, meaning she was in your life whether or not you asked for it, or not, her or not. As you know, Judge Caputo was looking at a tax charge. You've made it clear that clearly there's more than a tax charge here, but to focus on just that, what more, and you've said it already, and is there anything else you can add to that with respect to the irreparable damage to your family and what you feel could be a sentence And lastly, possibly further investigation.
I think further investigation needs to be brought up in this court hearing. I feel that to the fullest. There is more here than meets the eye. It's not just money. And it is money that's causing this situation, but what else was that money going to, or who was she getting it from, and who was paying her off? Was she getting paid off to have families that have money who are doing something wrong to get a hold of these kids and push the parents that are really trying to protect their child aside and keep them out of it?
To end this and to kind of conclude on this, you asked us to come over today because you're going in for very serious surgery tomorrow, surgery that has been brought on by an abusive husband.
My ex-husband.
And you wanted to have something on record. You asked us to come here today and say, listen, I wanted something on record. As a final note, do you have anything, in your heart you have a lot of bitterness towards Danielle Ross. What do you wish to let her know?
I'm sorry, even saying her name, I have a hard rush of the vomit that comes up and burns the back of my throat. Okay, she took my children from me and stopped me from being a parent and stopped me from protecting my babies. She threw them into a dangerous situation. I think she better really, really look at what she's done. I don't know how she sleeps at night, but I don't. 24/7, all I see are my babies in my head and what they've said to me, and I haven't seen them, and I've been pulled away from them, and I've been treated like a criminal to protect them. And she didn't protect them. Not one bit. She threw them into the fire. Maybe she should come clean and fix the situation in a way for herself, emotionally, maybe with God. Maybe she should ask for forgiveness from God, because I really think that she's going to burn in a pit when it comes down to that day for her. And
I have to ask you before we conclude, there's two things that come to mind. And I know, living this life and in the real world, judges, I believe, make the decisions based on a variety of factors. One of them is, and I think we've learned in this stage of my life, that it has to do with, oftentimes you'll hear judges mentioning about remorse. They see that the criminal is remorseful. Could you speak to, and there's two things. One is the remorse piece, if there is any evidence whatsoever. And the second piece has to do with, did you attempt ever to go to the FBI? But focus, please, if you would, on the first piece, in terms of remorse.
remorse? I don't think she has any remorse. If she had remorse, she would have done the right thing from the beginning. She has children. How would she feel if her children were thrown into these situations that she had already thrown other people's children into? Remorse? She don't have any. I don't see any there. If she would have done the right thing somewhere. She's going to court now for tax evasion. Where's the remorse in that? She doesn't have any, as we see it. She fought with the non-guilty and a smile on her face and thought this was a joke. There's no remorse on that woman, in any way, shape, or form. She has said and done horrible things to people. Giggle and laugh like this is this a game to her? These are lives. She has no remorse. I don't think she's gonna be remorseful. She's gonna try to make herself look innocent like she'd already tried. We see how far that got her. And I contacted the FBI and I told them that they're crunching the wrong numbers. It's not all about money. They better start looking at these case files a lot more seriously, because there's more case files here than there is the money, I guarantee it. Wives and families and case files that they're probably up there trying to burn them or shred them by now.
And do you want to get this, and you
I
want
want it out in the open.
And you want this out in the open, and you want to get this message to Judge Caputo?
Yes, I do. I want him to know that I'm trying to breathe through this. It is not easy for me to even sit here and talk here.
I know you're in pain.
He needs to know that Mrs. Ross has done a lot more than just tax evasion. I feel that she's a very evil woman who has no remorse and didn't care when she was taking that money. So she certainly didn't care about the lives of the children's lives she was ruining or putting into danger. And you better really, really try to see if there can be a way to open cases or anything, or people to come forward, open court, something to fight back, and it's the entire Lackawanna Family Court system. And there's, yes, more than just Ross who is involved, but Ross is the main individual who decided to run the three-way circus at the family courthouse and act as if she was presiding as a judge. And she's not a judge.
And that's important. Thank you, John.
Thank you. And I want to thank you guys for coming up, and I've gotten a lot of support from Mr. Levine, and he's helped my family a lot and has been there for us, and thank you.
Joanne, I want to ask you something that maybe I missed something, or maybe I didn't touch on. What was the reply? You went to the FBI. Do you recall going to the FBI?
Yes.
Do you recall what they told you when you went to them with information that was outside of just money? Could you please?
They didn't want it.
Could you please speak to?
They did not want anything to do with anything unless it was a receipt. They didn't want anything to do with lives or children's lives. And the things that Ross has really done wrong, they wanted receipts. They wanted money. That was it. Nothing. They told me to go seek an outside lawyer. I have. They told me I would need a criminal lawyer, a civil lawyer, several lawyers. Where would I get the money to pay for that? There's some people that can't afford it. And a lot of people that were in that courthouse seeking help for their family who couldn't afford it really got stomped on very hard by this woman. And the people that could afford it got cake and ice cream, I think, sitting at the table at Ross and giggling and smiling. And I think a lot of horrible things happened there.
Thank you, John. Good job.